Well, good morning, good afternoon everyone. It's day 2 at the Classic Motor Show here at Birmingham's NEC. This is Lancaster TV and we're here to talk minis today because we talked yesterday about 1984, that being 35 years ago that the Classic Motor Show first came into being. It was also the year that Lancaster Insurance was created. But there's another anniversary this year, and that's the 60th anniversary of the original Mini. And linked to all of that, there's 50 years of the Italian Job film, and we've got anniversaries for the Italian Job charity tour. So lots to talk about regarding the Alec Isagonis iconic British classic. So we've got a veritable array of special guests here to mark the auspicious occasion on Minis. So we have Tanya Fields.
Hello.
We've got Jeff Ruggles.
Hello.
We've got ArtByBex.
Hello.
And we've got Dave Youngs, the car club's manager at Lancaster Insurance. So I thought, rather than me witter on about minis, because I think most people can probably recite at least one mini memory from their time in motoring, that it would be good if we went round the table, as it were, and recounted our various mini stories. So Tanya, perhaps we can start with you, because your association with minis goes quite a way back. I've even Googled you, you're in the news and that sort of thing. So why don't you tell us about your association with minis?
Well, it goes way back, but I mean, I've always loved British Leyland cars, and so it came sort of, for me, was my fastest car going to be a Mini or a Metro? And I went for a Mini because it was cheaper actually at the time.
Yeah.
So I had a 1979 Mini City I called Freddie, who was absolutely hopeless. So I learnt so much with him. I learnt you always parked on a hill pointing down, so you could jump yourself without needing anyone else to help. But it was great fun. So I started with that, and since then I've never been without a Mini. So 30 years later, still.
And is that, you own other minis now? Or?
Yeah. So within our family, we've got 10 classic minis and 2 very early modern minis. So sort of 12 in total.
Well, I feel honoured to have met someone who owns more minis than this guy here. So that's quite... Oh, I don't, you bought more now.
Yeah.
By my maths, Tanya just said she owns 12. Anyway, so Jeff...
Yes.
We've
So
got
10
three.
classics and 2 moderns.
Oh, right, okay.
What
No,
have
you're
you
beating
got?
me. No, I'm on
So Jeff,
8 classics, 2 moderns.
Jeff, you've been on, you was the editor of Mini Magazine for a number of years.
Yes.
You're now our news and market centre on Classic Car Buyer,
Yep.
but the fascination with minis doesn't go away. Even your
No.
company car is a Mini.
It is.
Although it's a BMW one, so we don't necessarily talk about
That still
No.
counts.
it.
But sometimes
It's
the,
still built in Cowden.
sometimes the classic
Absolutely.
gets out for the commute, so that was
Exactly.
that was good.
So tell us about your Mini association and where you are now with your veritable collection.
Well, mine was just a bizarre experience. I was probably about 9 years old, and I followed. My dad bought a Mini City for a Mini 1000 actually, a 76 Mini 1000 for a couple of £100, and I was following in the car behind as it was sort of bouncing along, and I just fell in love with it. It just made me laugh really. So I bought my first when I was 15, a Mini City.
Because you needed 2 years to get it on the road, presumably.
Exactly that.
That prep time, right?
I wasn't revising for my GCSEs, I was sanding the filler, I was busy putting in the wings. So I had that for a little while, got that on the road, painted it Ford Signal yellow, big fat wheels, all the rest of it, absolutely loved it. And I'd been driving a week and I saw a Mini 1000 parked by the side of the road covered in algae. I went out and just had a look, and this Italian owner came out and he said, you know, I want to sell it, I've knackered it, it's broken. So I offered him £50 and left it there overnight, and I was walking back from the pub one night and there was a smouldering rag in the fuel tank, and if I hadn't have walked past at that specific moment, it would have caught fire. So it was fate that I had so many minis and the collection grew so much, and from then on I dread to think how many I've owned. It's crazy. I've never owned a Mark 1 Cooper. I'd love to, but and I've always wanted to have a 1275 GT on the road, and I've got 2, and I've had one for 13 years. It's still not on the road, so that's the aim. The GT is the dream.
New Year's resolution to get that on the road.
Absolutely,
So,
it's being painted this year, hopefully.
Excellent. So, Bex, I want to sort of bring you in here at this point, because obviously it's 50 years of the Italian Job original movie. Do we count the modern remake? It wasn't that good, was it? I don't know. But anyway, we'll move on.
No.
It's not a film critic show. And you have been commissioned to do some artwork this year, both for the 60th anniversary of the Mini and the 50th anniversary of the Italian Job. So
Yeah.
perhaps you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I've always had a passion for minis, and I love the community of people, and I love the car. And so when I was working with Paddy Hopcliffe on his bespoke painting, I thought, well, how about we celebrate the 6th anniversary together within a unique an Italian job and Mini print. So that's what we did to celebrate the 6th anniversary of the Mini.
So how did your involvement in Minis come? Were you a member of a club before then?
No, I was maybe 17 years of age and I went to my first British Mini Club show. Fell in love with the cars, fell in love with the people, the community. The Mini community is fantastic.
It is.
I absolutely love the team. Yeah.
So have you owned a classic Mini? You've got a new one, a modern one now, haven't you?
I have a Mini Countryman, the BMW Mini Countryman.
Right, yeah.
It's the sizing is perfect for me with all my artwork. I'm here, there, and everywhere. But a classic one day, I would love a classic in this colour, an aqua blue Mini Cooper classic. Love it.
Great idea.
Yeah.
And Dave, classic Minis, they're so iconic. I'm assuming they feature quite heavily in Lancaster's customer base.
Oh, absolutely.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean the classic Mini, even the most modern versions of the classic Mini shape are now classics in their own right.
Have you noticed any change in the customer profile, as it were? Is the audience a bit older for you now? Do they own more than one Mini?
As values goes up, generally the audiences generally get older. Most people that own a Mini won't just own a Mini, they'll own either several Minis or a collection of older British cars.
Anything like Jeff and Tanya here, they've got multiple Minis. One is never enough.
Absolutely.
And I guess they're so small, you don't need a massive driveway for them. They can all sort of fit on.
You just take pity on them, don't you? You just take pity.
Yes.
And you think you can save them all.
Sorry for them.
Like waifs and strays. Battersea Mini Home, that's what we want, so rescue minis.
And you hope if you've got 10, one will work.
Yeah, that's a good law of averages, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and by them not working, it makes them very cheap risk. They don't get crashed very often if they don't start.
Laid up cover.
I just remember. I think most people can remember the first time they drove a Mini. I mean, I never owned actually one as a sort of youngster getting into cars in the first place. But my friend had one. We bought one as a project car on Car Mechanics years ago. That was kind of my first exposure to one. And you buy it thinking it's going to be really standard, and then suddenly the rust makes itself known, doesn't it? And then that's when you sort of you're in it for a bit of pain. Because Jeff, we bought a Mini 30 this year, which we gave away at Mini in the Park, and we went to a specialist in Cambridge, I think it was, to go and buy one. And actually, it was relatively standard looking, very straight looking. It was the black, not the burgundy one, which makes it a bit more unusual. I think for the Mini
Black
30,
Mini 30,
if I know my Mini not very well. But even that, we had to do quite a bit to it.
Yeah, I think it's routine with a Mini that you have to put a front end on. It's just part of owning one. And it was a very straight, low mileage car, and so we were buying it for its history. Really, it was a good, honest car with a little bit of rust. We managed to sort it out. It looked great when we gave it away, and we've done this for 4 years now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so we've actually between us bought quite a lot of Minis, really.
Yeah. So, well, one of them you went to Italy to pick it up.
I did, yeah. Back when the euro was a bit stronger,
Don't get political. It's not.
No, not at all. But I'm just talking about the time period. So it was early 2016. We bought a Mini from a specialist in Milan. It was beautifully simple, single dash dial. Didn't even have a heated rear window. It was a lovely, lovely car. We converted it from left-hand drive to right-hand drive in a day. So I drove to the workshop on the passenger seat effectively and drove back on the other side. And it was fantastic. We gave that one away. Yeah, that was
a lovely
2016.
example. It was a B-Reg, 84, 85.
Yeah, it was a really basic Mini City. It was just absolutely lovely. And the guys still got it as well, which is the nice thing.
But the trip down to Italy is a good segue for me to go into the Italian Job 30. See what I did there?
I did.
Seamless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bring it on.
Yes.
So, give me a you help organise the Italian Job?
No, we're a participant.
You take part in it?
Yes, take part in
So
it.
this was Italian Job 30 this year.
Yeah,
so another big round number anniversary.
Absolutely, and 30 years that charity's been going and raised nearly 2.7 million for children's charities, which is an amazing thing. I think it goes back to sort of what Bex was saying about that Mini community and what they achieve, and it's amazing. And
so can you tell us a little bit about the run itself? Because it takes part around this time of year, doesn't it? So
yes, so it
totally
takes,
event time.
absolutely. And so you head off, it actually starts in Italy, but they're very good, the organisers. They put a service crew on that starts from the UK. So if you're a little bit nervous, you've got that backup right from the minute you leave the UK. So you can go down in a group to the start at Italy, or you can go independently if you want. You start in Italy, and then, you're always taking Turin, obviously, but you can take in other places. We went to Imola, and we went to Rome, And it's wonderful going around in a group of minis doing all of this, and police escorts through Rome and through Turin. And the public always, well, they see a mini, it's that natural thing, they come out, they wave at you, can't wait to see you, it's great fun. And we're very lucky because we get sponsorship, and Lancaster very kindly have sponsored all 3 of our times we've been on the Italian job. So they've supported and helped with that and helped to raise that money.
So tell us about this year's too. You've got a souvenir book, I see.
So we've got a book. And the reason we make this book is that it's handy to bring to here to be able to show people who might be interested in going on next year's Italian job. So it just sort of recounts, on our way we went via the Nürburgring, and just our various sort of escapades through
And which one of your 12 minis did you go in?
So we went in Paddy, our Mark III Cooper S, which is lovely because he has a Webasto sunroof, and we were so lucky with the weather. I mean, we had a little bit of rain at the end.
Looking at the photos, the blue skies
the
and everything
sun was out. It was really amazing. Had a fantastic time, and they take us around sort of little bits in Italy you might not otherwise see. So the Elidosa Bridge, which is a really steep bridge, so took all the minis up there. Oh, it's great fun. But you get to do other things, like we went round the Imola circuit and we went round Monza. It's just every day is fun-packed and adventure-packed, you know.
And the Italians, obviously, they love their Italian cars, but I've also noticed they love their British classics as well. Like they're always a big fans of minis, Jaguars, you name it. So, something like the Italian job too.
Absolutely. What's lovely is when minis is popular around the world, so there's mini clubs in all these places. So everywhere we go, we're greeted by a mini club. So it's fantastic. So when we're up on the Lingotto rooftop, the local mini club came to join us up there, and that's lovely. It's that community thing again about meeting, and it's not just a UK community; it's a worldwide community for mini.
So when are you going to take the hint that after 3 years of sponsorship, Dave actually wants an invite? this is
I've just been through the photos.
Yeah,
I'm going.
this is what it is.
Dave needs to come and join
That's
us.
right. He really does.
He does.
Because he'll pay for the bar. That's the
Thank you, Dave.
yeah. What have I just committed you to? I don't know.
Limoncellos, all that.
Anyway, but Jeff, you've obviously done a lot of travelling with the mini scene over the years as well.
Yeah.
But you've also just come back from Italy as well in one of your own cars, right?
Yes, I was very fortunate to be invited by the E-Type Club because there is an E-Type in the film. It makes a very short cameo appearance before being the roof's crushed basically by a digger, by the mafia. 848 CRY, or Cry as the car is known, and it's still around. And it's owned by Philip Porter, who runs the E-Type Club, co-founder of the E-Type Club. So that car led our trip down to Turin, and I was very lucky to get up on the Lingotto roof as the Italian job did a few weeks later. Beautiful weather, so that was nice. And we saw some amazing scenery. The car was put into the gallery where, if you've seen the film, there's a motorbike crashes into the steps. So the cars were put in there. They were put in front of the famous church where the cars go skipping down, the Gran Madre di Dio. Where the gold is loaded, the cars were put in as well. It was or outside. It was absolutely fantastic. But Lingotto roof was a bit of a dream come true for me. I mean, I've been able to walk around it before and got my car on the flat bits, but never been able to go around the Parabolica section. So that was great. And here I was with all these E-Types, these sort of £100,000 cars in my car that I bought for £400 in 2006, and sort of made it look like an Italian job car. Put the 3 lights on the front, the leather bonnet straps, and it was a bucket list thing.
I've seen the video footage. It looks amazing. Presumably, Bex, with all your work at the moment, you must get to travel around and see the mini community sort of out and about at events. I mean, you've presumably travelled quite a bit doing this.
Yeah, so I travel to a lot of the mini events, and also for various clients that are having commission artwork, I'll personally go and visit them wherever they are to discuss the design.
All around the world?
All around the world.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So at the moment we're more UK and Europe based, but we'll see if I get clients elsewhere. I'll personally go visit them.
Well, your reputation is sort of growing all the time, isn't it? Which is great. So
I'm really pleased. I mean, the legendary anniversary collection with Paddy and with John Cooper for the 60th of the Mini, and for the 50th of the Italian job, that was created with legends from the original 1969 film. They've signed that. So, regards to this legendary collection, I think I'll be working with some more legends in the future with that, which I'm really, really excited
great.
about.
Well, I'll give you Jeff's number later. So that's
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, you met the stunt driver though, didn't you?
He was amazing. I went all the way to France, to Paris, to Remy Julien's home, and we worked together on a new artwork. And where the 3 minis are jumping over the roofs, we captured that in artwork, and he signed it personally. And 90 years of age, and he is still amazing. Yeah, you know, the day I met him, the Wednesday before, he fell on his bicycle, 90 years of age, bruises down the side, and he says, tomorrow I'm on my bike again. He's so strong.
Still performing stunts.
Yeah. So you can tell he's had a full career doing stunt driving.
And do you get involved in lots of mini events?
We do. I mean, I live just down the road from Imley Hall, so I've attended Imley Hall for about the last 12 years in a row.
I know we did Mini in the Park this year at Mallory Park for the first time. I think we struggled this year because it was the third mini event in August, with the one at the British Motor Museum, International Mini Meter course on the 11th, and then us a week later. But it just goes to show how highly prized the Mini is to be celebrated that prolifically throughout the year. I mean, the anniversary year is always going to be a big occasion. So
you could do a mini event every weekend if you wanted. I'm
We'd
pretty
all be
confident
there.
you could.
We'd all be there.
And all over the world as well.
no, you really could, couldn't you? Yeah, no, absolutely. I was sort of pondering about the various efforts probably trying to replace the Mini over the years. Perhaps you're best to sort of talk about this, because obviously I think there was the 9X, wasn't it, the prototype that was going to be the attempt to sort of replace the Mini, but for one reason or another it never happened. The Mini soldiered on, and even when the Metro came out in 1980, the Mini survived. So what's that down to?
Son outliving his father, isn't it? It was
Yeah.
a bizarre thing. They couldn't have pensioned off the Mini because it was still selling. I mean, it went through doldrums in the 80s a bit, but then sort of series of limited editions after London landmarks and things like that, and then the interest in Japan was huge, and so Japan really triggered
that's what
it.
saved it, didn't
Yeah,
it?
really.
The Japanese market interest really saved it towards the late 80s, when they could have killed it off with catalytic converter stuff.
Basically, they were instrumental in the rebirth of the Mini Cooper in 1990, which we'll celebrate 30 years of next year. And Tanya owns one.
Yeah,
Two, in fact.
two,
in fact.
yes. They're
So,
a really important Mini, those. Yeah.
They were instrumental in bringing that back. And around the time of Mini 30, obviously 30 years ago, and when we bought our 30th commemorative car, there were over 200,000 people at Silverstone. It was
mega, more than a Grand Prix.
Yeah,
Huge.
it's just enormous, and it's sort of triggered by that interest. But people always loved the Mini all the way through, even when it was a bit quieter. When the Metro was very popular at the start, but sort of tailed off, and then they launched the Rover version, and then it was popular again, and then tailed off. Because I love Metros, I own one, but it just couldn't quite replicate the impact that this iconic, brilliantly packaged car had.
Presumably they had to launch a Metro because they needed a donor car for the other Minis, but maybe that's a
We don't say that.
That's done now. We can't do that anymore.
Yeah, cut that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we don't say that anymore.
I've never ever done
There's
that.
the iconic advert that sticks in my head, and I don't know who came up with the concept. Maybe you know. Is that Minis Have Feelings too advert?
Yeah,
It's
late
so
80s,
iconic. Do you remember the one where they creep together in the snow? And
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's almost a Christmas winter theme, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it could have been a John
Yeah.
Lewis advert of its
Yeah.
day. It was so
Absolutely,
memorable.
it was. I would say that it was that of its day.
Because it sticks in my head now. It must be 30 years plus.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah.
1986, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Was it
So
1987?
33
Something
years.
like that. Yeah.
And yet it still sticks in my head.
Yeah.
When I was obviously one.
Yeah, obviously we're much too young to remember that.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
we've seen repeats.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. I YouTubed it.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
The other thing is sort of in the 90s, it kind of, when everyone was celebrating Cool Britannia and you had like Britpop and all that sort of stuff, the Mini sort of really suited it really well, and they moved it up market really in the 90s. It became more of a style icon than a cheap first car. It's part of the sort of the transformation to obviously what BMW picked up on when they took over, but it sort of changed. It really did. And obviously for me it was still a cheap first car. I mean, I was buying mine for 50 quid, 100 quid, so the older ones are still around. They're still prolific, but it was at the start of that change, like leather interiors.
And that's a really
all
interesting point about the market as well, and you've probably noticed this, as you say, with insurance valuations, is that classic Minis are no longer cheap cars, are they? They're getting very collectible. How's that affected the scene, would you say?
Well, inevitably that brings about a smaller number because people are priced out. But I'm always pleasantly surprised at how young Mini owners still are. There are still people who want to buy them. Yeah, they're not the throwaway cheap car that you can thrash around anymore. But people still daily them. People still use them on a regular basis. People still modify them. There are still companies innovating all the time with different conversions and supercharger kits, turbocharger kits. It's still happening all the time. It's still going.
Is that your experience as well, Tanya? You
Yeah,
noticed that?
yeah, no, absolutely.
And is it a multi-generational thing as well, would you say?
Yeah, definitely in Minis, and that's
Father's
one of the
daughters.
joys of Minis. It's incredibly diverse, the community. Really is. It just crosses all boundaries. It's classless, it's ageless. You'll find just about anybody in the mini scene, won't you? It really is.
And is it still one of those few cars that you can rebuild from pretty much scratch? It's pretty much every part of it. I mean, trim aside, maybe, but even then.
Even trim, everything's
Everything,
really everything.
yeah, everything's there.
You could technically build one from scratch if you
You absolutely
so
could.
Yes.
You absolutely could. The only things would be sort of limited edition trim when they sort of went through that run of.
Yeah.
But things like, I mean, even a lot of that would still be available. It's up to your community that you can find it. You know,
Yes.
which has developed so much in recent years. If you want something,
Absolutely.
there are enough people to help you find it.
I love that personalisation with the car. I love various classics, but with the Mini, you can actually make it yours in
Yes.
so many different ways. Not only internally, but externally. They are beautiful, and you can make them your own kind of canvas in a way.
You're so right.
you
You're so
know?
right.
A lot of
How does that
character.
work from an insurance angle, Dave?
Well, we
Personalisation.
love a modification.
So you
as
cater
know,
for that.
we look at the risk as a whole. We don't tend to operate on that computer says no mentality.
Yeah.
We've got our own specialist team of underwriters in house that can actually look at the whole risk, and we're okay with that.
I mean, I guess we all know that mini owners are generally bonkers, right? Is that fair? But I think in a lovely way. I'm only teasing, but it also means that they care passionately about their car. They'll generally look after it really well, and that means that as a risk profile, they're probably relatively low, I would say. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the modern Mini, of course, because it's a little bit of a sort of mixed blessing. Because on the one hand, it's probably helped continue the brand on in new circles. But I would also argue, as classic Mini values go up, sort of R50 BMW Mini is a good entry point into the Mini scene.
Absolutely.
But there has been a time, it probably still exists in some circles, where the classic Mini fraternity hasn't been as welcome into the new Minis. Would that be fair?
Yeah, and there's still a little bit around, but it's dying off. I was involved in set up the Mini Y register, which is the register that looks after those very early R50s.
There's 20 years of that coming up soon,
Coming up,
2021.
yeah, absolutely. And they've got a really significant following. And there's the OBL tranche, which were one of the first tranches that BMW registered, and those are particularly popular. But there's a genuinely a really good following for those. I'm quite surprised personally how much the Y register's taken off, and now it's...
I remember when they first came out, of course, that's not a Mini, it's a Mini, it's too big and all that sort of thing. But actually, I mean, I'm a Mini owner, I've got a Mini Clubman, you've got a Countryman, you say. I think as they keep replacing with the subsequent generations, the previous generation, actually its appeal grows. So suddenly an R50 or an R53, I think look amazing. And actually they look teeny tiny compared to yours or my car. But, and actually you've got the F56, haven't you?
But I also bought an R50. I mean, for me, the R50 is great in the sense that you can do what you could do with a classic 20 years ago. I can go down the breakers and get another door or something if I've dinged it without having to get it painted, because there'll be enough silver ones that I can do that. Or if I want to upgrade the trim from a Cooper, because mine's a basic one, 100 quid and I've got myself a leather interior. And that's what you could do with the classic Mini 20 years ago, and you can't really do that anymore. So that spirit's kind of continued. A couple of years, I think it was 3 or 4 years back, we sort of conducted a bit of an experiment to see how cheap we could buy an R50 and what it was like. And we ended up paying £450 for one. Took it to the Nürburgring and back, and it was faultless. So that's
great,
we were
isn't it?
lucky, admittedly, but
It's what you were saying about being able to personalise them. And I think BMW tapped into that, didn't they?
That character.
There was something like 14.5 million permutations or something you could have with. That's what they made a big play on it. I mean, that probably meant different coloured dust caps as well. But nonetheless, the ability to personalise the new Mini was part of the appeal that they'd obviously picked up on. They do bang on a lot about go-kart handling, the press releases and stuff. They used to bore me to tears because they'd sort of, it's like, don't stop playing that. Actually, just fun to drive and all this sort of thing. The German press officers at the time in particular loved sort of going on about go-kart handling, it's a real Mini and all this sort of thing, because I think they were so conscious that people would be critical about the proportions of the new Mini. But it's fascinating you've got the Y register as well, and isn't there a similar one for the Coupe?
Yeah, so the sister one is the O2S register. And actually excellent websites for both of those. We're trying to log now and record every car that's relevant for that.
You're seeing a growing interest in those cars.
Absolutely, yeah, a really significant growing interest. And both registers are here at the Classic Motor Show. And I've spent a little bit of time there, not as much as I like, but a huge amount of interest. And it's great, and it's the same sort of community, very diverse, all ages, and people. We've got some who keep them standard and some who modify them, and that's great.
Exactly
and
the
they're
same.
all exactly the same. You're seeing exactly that being replicated.
Yeah.
That really appealed to me because when I first went to the Classic Car Mini Show, and there's so many there, I wanted to be part of the community. So the fact that I have my Mini, even though it's a new one, I always want a Classic because I always want to be part of that kind of group.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
fun, and the car is just amazing.
Yeah.
Nothing like a Mini.
And it's hard at the moment in terms of classic car cover to talk about the new Minis, but presumably it won't be that much longer before Lancaster can build a policy around the new Minis, because like I say, they're going to be 20 years old, no longer that new if you think about it. And with clubs like the ones that Tanya's involved.
I mean, with the oldest modern Mini now coming up to 20 years old, we are able to cover a lot of these on a modern classic scheme, where these Minis are used in a classic sense. So if they're part of a mini collection, or if they're a single vehicle that's just covering a limited mileage, we can cover these now.
And a bit like these guys here, they own a combination of the modern ones and the classics. So
absolutely, you very often find that. People are very, very loyal to the Mini name, whether it's capitals or small case.
Yeah.
Which is why I nagged you to have one as a company car.
Exactly. And it works. You got one, so it's all right. It's all fine. But I wanted to sort of dabble, if I dare, amongst this Mini royalty here, to sort of dabble about other companies' attempts at people's cars. I'm thinking of things like the Citroen 2CV, the Volkswagen Beetle, maybe the Renault 4. There was a theory that someone trotted out to me that you're going to love, like, and loathe one of them. Dave's going to opt out of this for reasons of impartiality. but
I love them all.
But yeah, so I love, like, or loathe. Beetle 2CV Mini. It's probably pretty easy to guess the love one.
Yeah, love. Yes.
Like and loathe. Go on.
I honestly don't loathe either. I like both. If it was going to be 1, 2, 3, then it would be the 2CV next, and then the Beetle.
I think the scenes are very similar, and I think that's actually what's quite an interesting comparison. And we're not necessarily making critical judgments about the way these cars drive or anything like that. The scenes are very similar, but actually it does very much come down to personal taste in the end, doesn't it? Yes. So it's not a judgment about the technical ability of the car.
No.
But yeah, what about you?
I think well, I'd obviously put the Mini top. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I'd go for the Beetle second, because the Beetle and the Mini scene, actually I see a lot of similarities in the way they can be customised and the following they have. And I mean, the Beetle has an absolutely enormous following, doesn't it? The 2CV I love. I do love it. I can't say I hate any of them. But for me, the one I'd rather own over a 2CV is the Beetle. So I'd take the Beetle.
Very good.
But not over a Mini.
Next.
I think I'd do probably the similar thing to Jeff, where I can't really say, of course the Mini would be top, but with regards to the beauty of the car, I'd probably maybe go the Beetle and then the 2CV.
Well, that's good, because we've got the Volkswagen show in March. You can come along and do a bit of bespoke artwork, so there we go, that's all right.
Good.
So that's all fine. Just to sort of to wrap up, really, I don't know if anyone's had time to wander around the show, and also perhaps to look at some highlights from this stand. Have you got a Mini on the stand?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have got a lovely original Morris Mini Cooper.
Nice.
Absolutely fabulous car.
I'm guessing it's attracted quite a lot of attention.
It is. There are crowds around it constantly.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to wander around the show, see
I
the other
have,
highlights?
yeah. So last year I was working Paint and Live with Lancaster Insurance.
Yes.
This year I've been managed to meet lots of different ones and see clients that already own artwork within the collection. And there's loads of Minis on display, and I'm trying to find them as I go around.
Yes, absolutely. What about you, Tanya? Have you had a chance to look around the show? And
Yes, sort of briefly in my morning sort of dash, and we've got a couple of Minis up here.
Great.
So we've got Trevor R 1970 1275 GT, and he's on the award-winning Gay Classic Car Club stand.
Yes, they won an award.
They won an award, and that's the second one, so that's lovely. He's down there with them. And then Paddy R Mark III Cooper S with the Italian
Is
job.
there a non-Mini that's caught your eye in the show?
Well, I love Maestros and Montegos, and we got a lovely 1984 Maestro, very low mileage. It surfaced with 102 miles on it, and now it's gone to its, I think, forever home, and they put a bit more on it, but it's still about 1,500 miles, and it's a beautiful car, so it's lovely to see that. And something that is a bit of an underdog of a car.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, well, we talked a little bit yesterday about 35 years of the Montego and stuff, and it was a sort of bit of a purple patch for British Leyland, sort of, great. What about you, Jeff? Not a non-Mini pick from the show?
A non-Mini pick. There's an absolutely beautiful Mark III signal yellow Ford Capri. 3-litre S.
Good choice.
It's got tartan seats. It's bright yellow. It's just amazing.
What's not to love about that, right?
Yeah.
What's not to love about that?
Absolutely.
You could do a professional's bit of artwork, Bodie and Doyle style.
something unique. I like it.
Recreation. At least one of them's still alive, right?
There's one more. There's the Innocenti Regent, which is an Italian-made Allegro.
Yeah, I saw pictures of that.
Yeah,
I didn't see it myself, but
that's. Well, I think it's the only one in the UK, possibly.
Yes, yes.
And,
Appropriately owned by the Vicar of Longbridge.
Yes.
Who absolutely loves it.
fantastic.
So that's an eye catcher as well.
Excellent. Well, look, guys, I think we've got to wrap it up. Clearly, the Mini's such an important car and means so much to so many people. It's really fitting to be able to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Mini and the 50th anniversary of the Italian job at the Classic Motor Show. There's probably no fitting sort of season finale than this, really. So, thanks everyone for joining us on the sofa and chatting on Lancaster TV about the Mini. So,
Amazing, thank you.
thanks very much. Cheers.
Thank you.